the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Green in the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. That's the love in everything. Bring a change, making it last. Join the permaculture.
Welcome to episode 368 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where pimp stands for permaculture is my passion. The only pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, practical living, and sometimes prostitutes.
Permaculture, P-I-M-P, with soulful grace. In the P-I-Pimpcast, where we find our place.
Oh, good to be here with y'all this evening. Wow. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Sovereign Health Summit. Yeah, me and T talked about it on Friday. And folks, you know what time it is. This episode is also brought to you by the Sovereign Health Summit. Go check us out in the description box down below. You're going to be glad you did. And what it is in a nutshell, folks, I kind of briefly talked about it yesterday on my little front porch monologue thing. Basically, all the people on this program that got me kicked off for a couple of weeks, we basically got them all together. Barbara O'Neill being one of them. She's basically the rock star, and then we brought in backup dancers around her that can really, really, really complement and in some ways cover information that maybe she doesn't even know about. So we're bringing all those people to one place. That's going to be in Harmony, North Carolina. I think you're going to dig it. Check out the website. Anybody wants to be a sponsor, go ahead, sign up. You want to be a vendor, go ahead and sign up. You want some tickets, go ahead and sign up. So we are going, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, along with T over at Mountain Readiness, and we're putting something together that is really, really going to be awesome, y'all. So, yeah. All right. Want to thank everybody in the house tonight. See my homeboy, William Zegley, Bill over there, Zeg, as he's called. I think he's got more nicknames than anybody. Says, yo, pimps, reserve me 2 tickets. Tennessee will represent. Yeah, I think a lot of folks from Tennessee are going to be there. Yeah, Bill, just go to the website. We got ticket purchases over there. It's going to be, we're going to do something nobody's ever really done. In one festival, we are going to be talking about how to heal yourself from your feet up and how to heal your soil from the ground up. Mostly emphasized on the people part of things, but these are the things that aren't really covered all that much. Anyway, son, how you doing?
Pretty good, Dad. What's up with that copper pimp chalice you got over there? What do you drink? What are you drinking? A Moscow Mule? What is that?
Well, when I say I put my money where my mouth is, for your mom's birthday the other day, I got her, and you know, T's wife, who by the way says I play baby making music for this show, which I guess I don't see it, but she says I do. Anyway, for your mom's birthday, we were on there working out things for this festival coming up, and your mom she wants the day to just come and go. No, don't wish me happy birthday, none of this stuff. And, you know, it's just another day to me also. But, you know, for her, I went ahead and got this copper cookware. And believe me, I searched high and low because there's a lot of charlatans out there. So I got her a copper skillet and a copper like water dispenser. And then she had always been saying for the longest time she wanted copper cups to drink out of. So I got her all of them. And boy, you talk about expensive, man. I mean, this stuff is not cheap at all, but man, this thing is awesomely made. It's out of man, they got some really good craftsmen back east. I mean, they got them all over the country, but you know, when it comes to a lot of metal work and stuff like that, there's some people back east that I like to go to. And this one just happens to be in Massachusetts. So man, I'm really digging the design. It's sleek, but yeah, this is my pimp chalice. And I'm trying to remember to drink everything out of it. I mean, my water, I obviously got my water bottle here. So why am I doing it? Okay, well, that goes to my man over at Cultivate Elevate and a number of others out there. I am trying, folks, when I say I'm practicing what I preach, you have no idea. I mean, William called earlier and son, I didn't even have a shirt on, did I?
Nope.
No, because I'm out there. I literally am in my little booty choker shorts, and I'm out here getting all the sun I possibly can. I'm drinking out of copper. I'm eating out of copper if I can possibly do it. I mean, silver if you can afford it, but I mean, who's got that kind of money? There's a reason why for time immemorial, people used to, when they say you got a silver spoon in your mouth, okay, that all comes from things. And, drinking out of copper, doing everything I can out of copper. It's going to take me a while to get the entire kitchen set for your mom. But I mean, because honestly, this is the kind of stuff you just can't buy on a whim, man. You got to make sure if you're going to get it, man, and you're spending this kind of money, boy, and copper prices are through the roof right now. All metals are. So you're going to pay a lot for it. So,
and it's hard to find. I mean, you and I both have the same idea as far as getting mom copper for her birthday. I was looking for copper gardening tools, and that was almost impossible to find. Like the best you could really find, other than like 2 different companies, was copper plated gardening tools, and they were just doing it for like an aesthetic and not for like the function of copper. I saw, what was there, like a trowel and then like a little hand scythe. But man, if somebody wanted to blow up that market, they could easily take over copper hand garden tools and stuff, because there's nobody making anything in the United States.
Well, funny you mentioned that, son, because I actually did. I'm actually in the process of making some, at least trowels anyway. And until, do you want to tell everybody why copper as opposed to anything else?
No, go ahead, Dad. You understand it better than I do.
Okay, Victor Schauberger, folks. That's the name of the man who, I wouldn't say he came up with it, but about 100 years ago, the guy was the consummate definition of an autodidact. He wore a lot of hats. One of the big ones that he wore was that he experimented with so many different things, whether it was a hydrology, you name it. But here's what he figured out. And folks, this will blow your mind. He figured out that when you use copper instruments in your garden, that the harvest increases. And if it's not copper, it can be bronze, not because bronze is a combination of copper and tin. 10% tin, if I remember correctly. Anyway, Schauberger figured out that when you start using copper in the garden, wow, things start blowing up like nobody's business. So he came up with his own trowel, and then he came up with other garden instruments, and then he came up with, check this out, he came up with a plow that would subsurface plow, and it had like 4 holes on it. It's the craziest plow you ever saw in your life. And you would think, man, that doesn't look very efficient. But what he figured out is that, it wasn't actually made out of copper. I think that was made out of bronze, because you needed to be a little bit stronger messing with the ground. Anyhow, what they found out is that copper, when you stick it in the soil, folks, it goes 10 times easier than anything you do with steel or any other instrument. So he made this plow, and they were finding out all over places in Europe where they let him do it, that the harvests were, I want to say, 30% increase in the first year just by using copper and bronze in the garden and in the fields over there. And plus, because it cut through the ground so easily, the machinery didn't have to work anywhere near as hard. So that was Schauberger. Anyway, long story less long.
And less compaction is too, right?
Absolutely. Because he was mimicking I'm glad you brought that up, son, because what he was doing with this plow was mimicking nature. He had looked at how tunneling animals worked in nature and created a plow that would replicate that very thing. So they were finding out, wow, man, we're not tearing up the soil. We're not plowing anything up. It's just subsurface plowing, and the harvests are through the roof. Well, folks, here's how, and this is like, I don't know, maybe 100 more years ago, about that time, actually. So what they found out is that all the powers that shouldn't be in these different countries all of a sudden wanted to say, folks, in fact, there's even written records of it. You might not want to use this stuff because the harvest is so great that you're going to lower the price of your vegetables and everything else it is you go to sell. So that's what that's just one of many things Victor Schauberger figured out. And I'm in the process right now of, and I think I've pretty well come up with a way of being able to make trowels, because the first time I ever used a copper trowel out there, son, yeah. I'm telling you what, it was like a knife through butter. I've never seen anything like it. So I ended up buying a bronze shovel, a couple of other bronze instruments, but man, these things are so expensive that, we're not the Rockefellers, man. This is stuff you got to save money for, but
but also not something you have to replace either. They're not designed to replace every 2 to 3 years like all these other shovels are, or shovels that you have to rehandle in a couple of years, or whatever it may be. These are like heirloom tools that you can pass on if you take care of them. Hey, people are wanting to know where you're getting this stuff, Dad.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
The
Well,
copper trowel I've had some good luck on Etsy, but other than that, I couldn't really find it.
Etsy, you might have to look, but I'll be honest with you, folks. I am like a stone's throw away of being able to make one that I think I can sell you for much, much cheaper than anything, because I had to go to the UK to find the ones I have.
Yeah.
And by the time you're done with shipping, it's worth more than the actual implement. But I was like, okay, well, this is worth more to me than money. And like you said, son, easy to fix. So, folks, give me about a month on this, and I think I'm going to crack this nut. And I'll send out to this audience anyway. I'll send out some and have you people kind of test them out for me and see how they work. But I really think I've cracked the nut on how to do this.
You know, one that would be awesome is a copper broad fork.
Okay, you're not going to find a copper broad fork, but you might be able to find, well, copper won't stand up to some of the places. A bronze one,
yeah,
it's going to be heavy. But yeah, I had honestly to go find a bronze shovel. I had to go to the UK. I had, like William said, I had to go to Etsy, and it isn't like an American shovel. It's like they build them totally different, but it cuts through the soil like nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, I'll bet money if you did in fact, I probably ought to make that video where I do a side-by-side comparison of using a steel shovel compared to a copper one. And folks, I'm here to tell you, I was like, man, this has got to be in my head. It was like wearing that Wave watch for the first month. It worked so well. I was like, there's no way it can be doing this. And, given time and, letting other people try it, I was like, okay, this works. But yeah, using them in the garden made all the difference in the world. Yeah, Etsy was the place I went, but you never know what you're going to get. And I had to go to UK to go get some of this stuff. So anyway, didn't expect to spend that much time on it, but you know what? If there was ever something worth spending time on, that's definitely it, folks. As far as in the garden, big believer of copper. I'm trying to use copper in every single, man, I'm thinking about all those years as an electrician, all the copper I sent to the scrap yards. Man, I wish I had it now. It would have been more valuable to me on this end. I mean, good night. I remember taking in copper when it was like, we thought we were making money at 50 cents a pound. And now that stuff, I don't even know what it is right now, but it's insane. So, yeah, there you go. Check out the work of Victor Schauberger. And the guy was a flipping genius. And there's a reason why some of these people are written out of the history books. And son, to that point, this is precisely why I want to bring Matt from Cultivate Elevate out to this. That's why he's going to be speaking at this event, because it's because of his work that opened up a whole constellation of other people that I had never heard of. People in history, whether it's, electroculture or some of these other things, that these incredible modalities out of there that have been known throughout history, but have intentionally been forgotten. It's because of his work that I looked into the work of Schauberger, and there's a number of others out there, folks. I mean, geniuses that are largely written out of history, not because they didn't know what they were doing, but because what they were doing was really getting into the pocketbooks of the powers that shouldn't be. So all these healing modalities, all these other things, that's exactly what you're going to find at the Sovereign Health Summit. So, let's see here, son. Okay, here's some good news. Maybe I should have saved this for that. And I'm curious for folks in the chat. By the way, if you're in the chat, hit the thumbs up, tell everybody we're live so they can start suppressing us. But hey, I want people out there to give me your experience as well. I'd like to know. Thomas Massey from Tennessee.
Kentucky, I'm
sorry. He came out, what was it, yesterday or the day before? He says, wow, good thing about a government shutdown is no chemtrails. Well, have y'all noticed whether, I'm not going to poison the well, but I'm going to say around here has been the bluest. It was almost as blue as it was the 30 days following that engineered hurricane from last year. We had the most beautiful weather for 30 days straight. Not a chemtrail in sight. The bluest blue that you haven't seen since you were a child. Today comes closest to that. Now, he put it out there but then I'm hearing a lot of other people saying, well, that's not my experience. So, folks in the chat, tell me if it's blue or crazy, or are they just spraying like crazy? What's going on in your place? How about you, William? What's it looking like?
It hasn't changed at all. In fact, the past couple of days, I've been wondering if they kind of ramped it up at night, because just collectively around the house and even like in town, everybody just seems to be like in a lull almost. Like yeah. So and it's just consistently hazy too. So I wonder if the past couple days they've kind of kicked it up a little bit. I'm not really sure, but it's nonstop here, like nonstop every single night. I'm not too far from Dallas Airport, but it's nonstop all the time, especially at night. There's always a haze.
Yeah, maybe I'm starting to suspect that it might be certain places because, like here in the chat, Shelly's saying not in Southeast Michigan. They pounded us. And you know what? Michigan is one of those places where y'all are getting it like nothing I've ever seen before. There's a girl on X that I follow. I haven't really been on X as of late, especially since they've been playing games with the algorithms. She's up in Michigan, from what I understand. And man, what they're doing up there to you guys is like, honestly fumigating. I've never seen anything like it. Abigail Q says in Houston it's blue, spraying like crazy in West Virginia, says Scott. No trails here in Molino, Florida for a long time. Wow, that's good news. Yeah, hazy. Yeah, GBONC all day long. Yeah, I guess I wonder if they're hitting the high points. I wonder because today they didn't get us, but like you said, son, I just watched that documentary. It's called Climate Trails. Sean Hibbler just put it out. Your mom and I watched it last night. And I don't know who was more aggravated, her or me. It's funny because if you watch all these different chemtrail documentaries, whether it's who in the world, what in the world are they spraying, who in the world, why in the world are they spraying, and then they had Dane Wigington's, he's put out a couple of them, and then this latest one, it's cool because if you watch them all, it's cool in a bad way, I guess. But when you watch them all, each one is covering like a different segment of it, and this one is talking about. You can rent it right now. I'm going to try to get Sean Hibbler, who made the documentary, on the show to kind of talk about it. This one focused a little bit more on the analysis of what they found in a lot of this stuff, and a lot of it are these nanobots that they're dropping from the sky. Nanobots, folks. That's what they're putting out there. And I highly recommend it. It's like maybe it's $5 to rent it on Vimeo. So if you go to climatetrails.com or climatetrailsdocumentary.com, we watched it last night and I was like, man, this is not the thing I need to be watching before going to bed, because all it did was aggravate me even more, man. You look, because I'm sitting here thinking my son and my grandbaby, my family, all of us are breathing this garbage in. And they do talk about some mitigation strategies. So one of the doctors on there, he talks about and I can't even bring it up here, folks. And here's what sucks about what's going on right now in this platform. If I tell you what he recommended to help chelate this stuff out of you, they would cut the feed and give us another strike. It's really that simple. Son, this is the world we're in right now.
Yeah, no, I'm fully aware that and especially your channel, like specifically Permapastures Farm, like there's stuff that you can't say on there that can be said on my channel and no issues at all. Same thing with the Permaculture Pimpcast channel. Things that are said on the Permapastures Farm channel can be said at other places with no issues. But yeah, they're looking for any reason really to strike you guys off.
Well, I'm just surprised that last video, that front porch talk, didn't move. But son, I do find it curious that all of a sudden when you see a video about to go viral and then it just stops at like 12,000 views or whatever. And I'm like, hold on, what, everybody collectively said, I don't like this thing now? Like, really? And you can gauge how popular a thing is based on the comments, the number of comments. Mm-hmm. So the last thing they want to see is a brown person out here saying, nope, I'm not left, I'm not right. If you're for the Constitution, I'm with you. That's the last thing they want to see. That's why they know. I mean, and this has happened to me before in the past too, where if they feel like you might be a voice that might wake up people, well, they can't have that. They want you deeply in the matrix. So other people have said, like Steve says, Boone got sprayed the normal amount. Yeah, ain't that a shame that it's become normal now? The normal about the last couple of days. And Let's
He
see.
also wants to know the purpose of the nanobots.
Yeah, see, that's the part. Let's see if I can dance around this because they discuss a little bit of it in the film. Okay, let me back up to because some of these people that were in that film I've interviewed on the show. One of them being Mellow Cat. She was the one that caught up with that chemtrail pilot and interviewed him. And the other one is Ariana Masters. Both of them have been on this show. And Ariana, she lives in Tennessee and she's wicked smart about certain things. Anyway, Ariana was the one that pointed out to your mom and I because we're sitting here looking at moguls in the sky. And so I called up Ariana and I said, look, what is going on? She says, I can tell you right now, they're using the NextRad radar towers. They dropped this stuff. I'm answering your questions in a roundabout kind of way, Steve. I kind of have to go about it this way. So what happens is, and you saw it happen in that hurricane. So what they do is they roll by, they dump whatever it is out the plane. It's going to be aluminum, barium, strontium, all these things. And there is no natural aluminum in the atmosphere. Okay. They drop all this stuff out there. It does horrible things, deleterious effects to not only you, your animals, and your plants. So they dump it out and the nanobots, and it is hypothesized, I guess that's the best way I can put it, that they can use these NextRad towers to steer either certain people or entire populations by using these nanobots. Now, I've talked about one of the ways to get them out of you. It is discussed in the film as far as how to get out some of these heavy metals. Dr. Anna Michalczyk tried to get her out. Actually, I didn't. I need to reach out to her to see if she'd be interested in going to this Sovereign Health Summit, but she's out in like Portland, Oregon. Anyway, Anna Michalczyk and a number of others have figured out one of the best ways of getting this stuff out of you is using EDTA. And I use it twice a week. I better keep it right there, or they might just cut this feed. So you want to check out her work. And it sucks, folks, that I can't give you, because I know chapter and verse what to do and all this other kind of stuff. Other people have had success using borax. Some of this stuff is not going to be covered in there, but as far as the purpose, nobody really knows. But I will point out that the last thing that Julian Assange posted before they locked him up, guess what he was talking about, folks? The tiny little dust particles that they're dumping out of planes. That, as soon as he put that out there, they nabbed him and they kept him in prison for a decade. As soon as he started talking about that. So that was 10 years ago. But there are ways that we know of. I can't tell you, Matthew. He's asking borax for what? I can't tell you. Man, all I can do is I can leave you the bread trails here. But I can't do much more than that. But anyway, it's hypothesized that you're going to have to look it up, bro. I can't give you much more than that. Otherwise, they will cut this feed if I go too deep into it. So anyway, as far as these nanobots and stuff like that, there are some chelating techniques to possibly remove that from you. I talked about EDTA in there. There's a doctor that talks about two other things, natural things that you can possibly grow and remove a lot of this heavy metal and the other junk from you. Anna Michalczyk figured out that this self-assembling nanobots can't work if you remove the heavy metals from them, okay? So you got to get rid of that charge. Doing a lot of grounding, that's going to prevent it from, doing its thing as well. So anyway.
Hey, real quick, Dad, just so you guys know, you can say freely whatever it is you guys want in the comments. So don't think that the comment section has to censor itself on what's being said. We can't say anything, but the comment section can. So some of you guys that know the answers can share it with some of the other people who are unfamiliar with the answers.
Glad you pointed that out. So somebody brought up Ilana Freeland. Yep, big fan of hers as well. That was Marty McGowan. Yep. Ilana Freeland. Boy, I think she wrote Under the Toxic Sky or Under the Chemtrail Sky or something. I can't remember. It's been a while. But she's another one I'd love to talk to. I mean, the list is long, folks. But that's exactly what we're designed. That's precisely what we are trying to do in the Sovereign Health Summit, is to bring in people that have been canceled because their information is too solid for the mainstream. That's precisely it in a nutshell. And all the people out there that have buyer's remorse about what they may have done or not done with this jab want to get you some help too. I want to bring in the very best, the very, very best in being able to have everybody heal as possibly as well as you can in a very, very toxic world. So it's costing a lot of money. So folks, we can't just give free admission to this thing. So, but it's about a third of the price that the last time Barbara O'Neill was here. Okay. And then we got a far better lineup than what was there. So you're going to find out that we are putting together some people that are going to show you some things that I guarantee you've probably not heard, almost certainly haven't heard. And they're going to help get a lot of us squared away.
Is it going to be live streamed anyway for people who can't make it in person?
We're working on that. We're working on it. Is extremely expensive, folks. And when I say extremely expensive, just to do a live stream, we're just one that's halfway reliable. We're looking like $80,000 just on trying to do a live stream for this thing. So I'm just going to.
I know a lady. I'll hook you up. I know a lady. She's the one that. Huh?
Is it the one in Kansas?
Yep, she's the one that does everybody's live streams for festivals.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it, but this is going to have to be a professional thing because honestly, if people are going to spend money for a live stream, it cannot be glitching. This thing has got to be the cat's meow. So that's why I'm saying it costs a lot of money, because I can't have people pay for a live stream and not get what they paid for, because that has actually happened to us before regarding other events. So I don't want to nickel and dime it. I want to be able to get the people. I want to disseminate this information so wide, so far, that everybody has access to it, no matter where they are on the planet. And yeah, that's in the works, but we don't yet have we don't have that nut cracked yet. And we've never done anything of this nature. I mean, not of this size. I just got so aggravated of the things that are going on in this world, and you're not allowed to tell anybody some real healing modalities. Like I said, Barbara O'Neill got us kicked off for 2 weeks because she brought up an element on the periodic table. I mean, how crazy is this? Matt from Cultivate Elevate, that was the last time we got suspended. He brought up some seeds you can eat that might handle some of the things I was just talking about a moment ago. I kid you not. This is the kind of crap that they're scrubbing people off the internet for. So we're going to try to, as best we can, to work around the angles, and we're going to put on something that is really going to heal some people. So yeah, we're putting our money where our mouth is, folks, but we can't make it free. But like I said, it's as cheap. I hate to say cheap. It's as inexpensive as we can make it. For 5 days, for $250, you find me another event anywhere in the ballpark of this that is going to charge you as little as that. I mean, that's about as inexpensive as we can make it, folks. So anyway, Sovereign Health Summit, go check that out. And that's you're understanding the whole reasons of why we're doing it. Don't worry, I'll be interviewing people that are going to be at this thing. Dr. Ely, interviewed him. Unfortunately, couldn't put that on YouTube, had to put it strictly on Rumble. Also his partner, couldn't put him on here. I mean, all these people are absolutely, if I even say his name, folks, they will cut this feed. And it begins with an ARDIS. Yeah.
You mean begins with?
I didn't say it. It begins with ARDIS. I even say his name on here, folks. They're gonna gig us again. So anyway, I'm moving on. Other things going on around here. Dressing the trees. I'm still going through that. Pruning. I am putting a mulch ring. If you saw the video I did the other day, man, I'm putting a mulch ring down here that'll blow your mind. Also incorporating in some electroculture, which is also going to mean that I'm using paramagnetic substances around there, because it only advances your electroculture even better. So volcanic rock dust, if you can test it. Look, y'all, you know if the stuff is legit. When you're looking for paramagnetism, if you can put it in a Ziploc bag and then take your... Okay, and let me go ahead and back up a little bit so I'm not talking, Swahili to everybody. So if you go out there and buy stuff that's called volcanic rock dust, and they're calling it that, it's in the bag. You look at it, it looks like it comes from a volcanic region, and I've done this. Put it in a Ziploc bag and then take a compass and stick it up. It should deflect that needle once you get it up close to the bag. If it doesn't, you got garbage. Well, Dr. Will is hooking me up with some paramagnetic stuff that I can really, really kick this thing up with. Basalt is really what you're looking for. You're wanting some highly paramagnetic basalt. And if you could put it under a pyramid for a day, folks, this is the kind of stuff you're going to be learning at the summit, okay? It'll even supercharge this stuff. Anyway, doing all that right now. Let's see what else I got going on. Pruning, that is maybe just a tad bit early, but when you got trees that are really, really off and running, that are wanting to be, if you're looking at me, they want to be trees, not fruit trees. If they're all the branches are pointing up, well, it's a little bit too vigorous. So you want to prune that while it's still vegetative, and then the following season it'll kind of slow its roll a little bit. But if it's a tree that's creeping along and you need to prune it, well, you want to do that when it's dormant, and then that thing is going to blow up when spring rolls around. Okay, right before I got in here, I was flipping compost. And folks, just because you have a finished compost pile doesn't mean you still can't add stuff to it. And I've done this for a long, long time. I put in some, I think your mom ripped out all the tomatoes that were down in the greenhouse. Took those out, put those in there along with some stuff that I had in the fridge that just needed to go anyway. Did a lot of running errands today, which means I had on that wave watch, as you can imagine. Yeah. So other things we got going on around here is, just the nonsensical game plan that they're doing on YouTube. The fact that I got to sit here, I can't just tell you straight up what I know and what I've experimented on, because every one of these things, whether it's the copper chalice I'm drinking out of or anything else, folks, I put my money where my mouth is, and in a big way with this festival. So, folks, I'm trying to get you all the best information I can. I really am. We are trying to get the best instructors, the best everything out there. And I can tell that the enemy is going to fight me tooth and nail the whole way on this thing. So pray for us and pray that this thing is a massive success, because I'm hoping, I don't go totally broke on this. But look, I have got to get this. I got to get this information out there. And it's not going to do you good just hearing it from me. And plus, when you have boots on the ground, you're in the area, if you can be there. There is something very special, as a lot of people in this chat can attest to. It's one thing to sit here and we, get online and we meet together once or twice a week or whatever the case may be, but it's entirely another when you're under the same roof as somebody, where you get to see someone face to face, hang out, see how everything's going in their world. Son, I see there's a question in there. Do you mind reading that?
Yeah, the Ascending Ancient. What's your go-to company for biodynamic / organic fruit and nut trees and seed companion companies that ship? So for seeds, I like to use that Southern Seed Exposure. I had really good germination rates last time I planted them. Southern Seed Exchange, sorry, not Exposure. And then as far as nurseries go, you're not going to find one that's specifically biodynamic or even like organic for the most part. That's like as far as a nursery goes. But you could check out Legg Creek Nursery, LEGG Creek Nursery. They have some of the biggest root systems that I've ever seen ship. I also recommend Stark Bros. Stark Bros is cool because you get like a year guarantee on your first year. And if your bare root is going to die, it's typically going to die that first year. So, that's where I like to go. Dad, do you have any others that you like? Farm Connection.
I'm going to throw a curveball out here. Strangely enough, I've actually had pretty darn. It could be our methods, and maybe I shouldn't even be telling folks this, but hey, I don't hold anything back. One place, believe it or not, Etsy has been pretty good. Now, I wouldn't buy seeds there necessarily, but I have had pretty good luck with when it comes to buying nitrogen fixing trees and some other varieties out there I was looking for. Etsy was a really good place. There's like a trees for everyone thing right in Asheville, where you can put in your order and they're all locally grown and grafted kind of trees. So that one works out pretty well. And they're so insanely cheap, folks. It'll blow your mind. That's a really good place. And then if you're at all interested, it is amazing how easy grafting is. So you can go out and buy rootstock, and you can buy, let's say, scion wood from someone else and maybe make that a winter project for you, or something you can do here in the fall right now.
Or
that for next to nothing.
NRCS agency as well. Yeah. You can get I think I got like 4 trees for $1 or something like that. Also free trees, Arbor Day Foundation too. You can get a lot of local trees for really, really cheap, bare root too, just by going through some of those government funded ways, which surprisingly enough, we're actually recommending.
Yeah. Hey, as a little side note, real quick, Marty McGowan, Chipwood, she's in the chat. I would check out for some people that had questions about borax. She's spot on there. So go check that one out as well. No, I'm right there with you. When it comes to I'm really interested in looking at things off the beaten path, but I'm telling you what, if you can find, I'll give you a prime example of what I'm talking about. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 apple trees over at this local college next to me. And it is growing under a flippin' cedar, which should not be happening. Nobody even knows the name of these apples. Now, as far as the flavor on them, it's good. I would say it's good. I mean,
they're
it's
good.
not an ever crisp, but it is good and it's adequate. They will let these things fall on the ground. They'll go through with a little mower, pick them up, and throw them away. I went over there, asked the groundskeeper, and I'm like, you mind if I get some of these apples? She's like, take all of them. And then she says, and then as I'm out there doing it with your mom, I'm sitting there, I could have easily filled up the whole back of my truck with these apples.
You and I have gone out there too. You and I have gone out there, harvested apples.
Yeah. And these kids are walking right past you on the way to go eat junk in the chow hall. I'm like, you're going to pay for that garbage when you're walking past. And I asked them, they don't spray those trees. They don't do anything. There's a name, I think, of one of them over there, but I want to say 2 or 3 different cultivars over there that do well. So all you people that have cedar rust issues, okay, here's a solution for you. Go out there, get you some growth off this tree, make scion wood out of it. You don't even have to know the name of it. And grow these trees. If you're on a budget, and a lot of us are these days, man, I don't know of anybody who's not struggling a little bit. And that's one way to do it. Go buy some scion wood. Watch. I'm sure we got videos from way back of when we did our stuff. But yeah, to graft you can buy a grafting tool. It's actually kind of fun. Go out there. In fact, you could do it this way. Go buy yourself some root stock. Let's say it was M111 stock, and let's say you get a bunch of apples that you think you like. Go ahead and graft them suckers on there. It is so easy. Very, very simple. You can do it the old way. You can do it with the grafting tool. It works even better. You get them out there. Let's say you only got room for 3 or 4 of them. Why can't you sell them things on eBay or Etsy or whatever else, or send me an email, and if you got some trees that you want to sell, man, I'll tell everybody out here. In fact, I just saw Steve pop up. Steve has had great, he's come up with some pretty interesting ways on going about doing his blueberries out there. Some people, as I understand it, if I remember the story right, Steve, they came out there, they got what they needed, and they also did, got your work done for you at the same time. Sweat equity is just as well, it's better than money in a lot of cases, depending on the work ethic of these people. There's so many different ways, folks, out there. But like William said, yeah, if you want to go out there and do this stuff, if you want to go out there and spend your money on that, fine. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go out there and buy some root stock, and I'll find like those trees at the college. In fact, that's something I probably need to make time to do this year. I don't even know what they are, and I don't care. All I know is I can take that tree, and when you graft it, it's essentially a clone of the same tree. So now I got a tree that is absolutely resistant to apple rust that I could either sell, give away, trade, make a deal. Who even knows? There's a lot of people that don't grow apples around here or in a lot of different places because they're worried about that. I got a tree that's totally resistant to it. And let's say these apples let's say they ain't your cup of tea. They weren't. I thought they were decent.
They were good apples. You're just stuck up when it comes to apples because you found the Evercrisp. They were fantastic apples. Dad just compares them all to the world's best apple.
Yeah, you got a point there. Honest truth of it is, everything I stack up to an Evercrisp, and you're right. That's not a good. This probably would have been a good baking apple. I'll have to get your mom. We'll have to go out there and pick some, and I need to drive by there and go take a look. But I'm telling you what. Every kid's walking past these apple trees. I'm like, there's just free food on the ground, man. Are you people crazy? Yeah. I'm like, I can buy and sell every kid walking up and down that campus. And I'm like, I'm over here picking these apples. I don't even get it, man. You're going to eat that junk out of that chow hall when you can sit here and eat some first class food. But folks, I guess the moral that I'm trying to tell you is there are so many different options out there. You can save. If you go to a nursery to go buy your trees, you're either one of the Rockefellers or maybe you don't know better. But number one, they got little slick tricks they pull right now. They'll take a tree and put it in a 5-gallon pot because they know they can jam up the price on you. It's
Yep.
stuff like that they do, man. It's cold-blooded.
They'll take 1 gallon worth of roots, put it in a 5-gallon pot, and then charge you 5-gallon pot like materials. And also keep in mind the expense in a nursery has nothing to do really with the tree itself. The expenses with the nursery is the fertilizer, the growing medium, so what they're actually growing the tree in, and then the time that it takes to grow that tree. The materials cost for the actual tree itself, even if they grafted it, rootstock and scion, is very, very little. So if they sell a tree for like, let's say $80 at a nursery, they might at most have like $5 worth of materials in that, in the actual tree itself.
Yep. And folks, you can do the very same thing. I mean, but when you buy, here's why you want to buy bare roots every single time if you can. I will take a bare root, even though sometimes I got to do otherwise. I'll take a bare root any day of the week because it will adapt to the soil you put it in much better than a potted tree. You'll need the worms to make the exchange for you, and you don't want to put your amendments and stuff like that in the bottom of the hole. You don't want to do those things. You want to let your worms do it all for you. Carl Whitcomb from Oklahoma State basically wrote the definitive work on why you should do that. So a potted tree is, I'll take a bare root, a little scrawny bare root any day over a potted tree because it's already, especially if that sucker's root bound. I mean, you can undo some of that stuff, but there's a lot of it you can't. Yeah, Steve says basically about 14 hours of labor for $1,500 worth of bushes. They also have to buy about $200 in materials. I mean, that's a win-win if you ask me. I mean, that's about as good as it's ever going to get. And so, folks, that's why I'm saying don't necessarily think that you got to buy something off the shelf when I know for a fact some of the best stuff you're ever going to find out there, believe it or not, man. I mean, I've had good luck with, I remember Pastor Lon told me about some folks throwing away trees at Tractor Supply or Walmart. I can't remember which. It was 2 pear trees. I ended up getting
Walmart.
Them. It was Walmart.
Mm-hmm. Tractor Supply just sends it back to the warehouse and holds on to it till next year.
Okay, so it must have been Walmart. Got them for like, I don't know, $5, whatever it was. Turned back around, put them in the ground. Now, I had to stake them that year. Number one, they were much taller than I prefer. I don't buy a big tree if I can help it. I always buy a good structured small tree. That tree will catch up with the big one in just a few years, and it's going to have a better root structure. It's going to be better grounded, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, I got those trees for like maybe $5 a piece, and they're doing just fine. In fact, they're a little bit too vigorous. So I had to stake them. That I almost never stake a tree, but I did in that case because they were just, it was just touch and go. Way too much tree for too little pot. So yeah. So yeah, there's a whole, Steve's right. Blueberries are a little bit stubborn. Yeah, I've not grafted, but I've actually got my own cuttings for blueberries and stuff like that. And there's ways you can do it, but yeah, they are kind of tough to propagate sometimes. But I have had some success. Half the time they didn't make it because I neglected them or forgot about them. Son, what's going on in your world? I spent way too much time in this segment.
Oh, you're good. Today, man, I don't know what was going on, but I just could not get my stuff together. I tried to film 2 videos. Both of them flopped. I'm over here trying to teach people how to make fall compost and how you have to increase the nitrogen. And I'm over here using the wrong numbers, the wrong words, the entirety of the video. So I had to call it quits on the videos for today and resume them tomorrow. And hopefully get some, once I can get my tongue untied, hopefully get some videos pumping out tomorrow. Also getting ready for the permaculture design course, uploading videos to that. If you're unfamiliar, I have a permaculture design course on Patreon. You can get in for as little as $5 a month. Also preparing, here's another thing I've been preparing, is a video with definitive proof that weather engineering is a legit thing. I started off doing it just for the Patreon because right now we're in the climate section of the book. I was just going to do it for Patreon to show like, hey, here's the historical uses, here's the patents, here's all the proof that you need to show that, weather manipulation is a thing. Also, their acknowledgement that it is a delicate system that we can throw out of whack very, very easily. And then I decided, this might be something good to upload to YouTube too. So I'm filming it in a way where I can still upload it to YouTube. So that way, if anybody is like ever trying to make the argument to somebody, they have like their quick reference notes they can go back to and look at. Or they can just share the video if they wanted to, whatever it may be. But yeah, that's what I've been dealing with today, is just the frustrations of technology and trying to get your words to work correctly. Feel Good Farm, Vermont just said, just joined Williams Permaculture Consultant course. I have a bed of apple seeds from cider mush and acorns in buckets of sand I'm hoping will pop in the spring. Well, careful with those apple seeds, because there's like a 1 in 20,000 chance that it'll taste good or something.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's see, I don't discourage people from that, and I'll tell you why. There was a guy that wrote a book called Old Southern Apples. His name is, and he's passed on now, but his name was Lee Calhoun. Genius. And he has a place, and I still want to go to it, or his place is still, it was basically a refuge for all the Southern apples that were just dying out, that nobody's ever heard of. And what he and his wife would do was they would jump in a vehicle, like every weekend and this was just a hobby for him, folks. And all he would do is drive through the South. He'd see an apple tree, and then he'd go knock on the door, ask whoever was there what they knew about that apple and whether or not he could take a graft of it. And so that's what he did. He did it for years and years. So he basically created something of an apple reserve in North Carolina. And I still want to go there, of all these Southern apples, because there was a time, believe it or not, that once upon a time in the South, before Sherman's march to the sea, the South was extraordinary at apple growing. And it was also extremely well, I mean, they would use a lot of these spent apples to, the Southern pork pre-Civil War was like prized all over the world because they were finished on apples and also sweet potatoes and things like that. You'll never find this in the history books, but that's part of this is why I love occulted history. And folks, I don't mean the occult, I mean hidden history. So Lee Calhoun makes that case. And so the way these slaves would do it back at that time, or indentured servants, whatever the case may have been, is they would take those seeds and they would put them out there. And they were trying to supplement their food, in any way they could. And then apples being what they are, they would take a lot of the apples and put them on the tin roof of wherever they were. And then they would eat those throughout the winter to supplement whatever they had, or they would eat them fresh. They would take varieties similar to, let's say, an Arkansas black, which will keep quite a while. They'd take some straw or whatever, bury it in the ground, and they could eat apples until the next season practically. So these are the apples out there. So like William's saying, like 1 in 20,000 or somewhere. Yeah, that can be a little bit risky, but you may find some that maybe they are really, really good at A, maybe good at B. That's why 9 times out of 10, when you find an apple you like, if you want to guarantee yourself to get that same apple, you want to graft it. Okay. You can do other things like air layering, which is a complete waste of time to me, but William is well aware of some doctor who seemed to think that was the most. You could take one branch and make one tree out of it, or I can take one branch and make 10 trees out of it that are far more reliable and less work. So yeah, you could take these apples and do some pretty astonishing things with them. And one reason why I love apples so much is that it's coming up at a time of year. It's something fresh at a time of year where everything else is dying or fixing to. That's one of the things I love about apples. Number 2, it's a very nostalgic thing for me from my youth. And number 3, it is one of those preparedness foods, just like the slaves in the Old South. Well, when Sherman marched to the sea, man, they wiped out nearly all of them. This is the part that they don't put in the history books, okay? He wiped out every single apple he could find, any way that they could. It wasn't just Sherman, it was Sheridan as well. There was a number of others that were laying waste to everything, and the apple trees were one of the things that suffered in the process. In fact, Sherman had even written in one of his memoirs that he had an army that was so good at pillaging that they could kill, gut, scrape, and pig on the move. They could do all this while moving. That's what, Sherman actually bragged about that sort of thing, but then they would also take whatever harvest there was on the apples, cut the apple plumb to the ground. So,
which is a wild way to conduct warfare on your own, like your fellow citizens. It's like, it's one thing if you're conducting warfare on like another country, but it's like at some point you got to acknowledge like, hey, we're going to have to rebuild our own part of the country at some point. Maybe let's not cut down all the apple trees. Let's leave a couple.
Well, maybe that's why the same guy also said, it is well that war is terrible, lest we should grow too fond of it. Actually, I think that was Robert E. Lee. But I mean, that's it. It was the most horrific battle in America, or war in American history, but we've largely forgotten about these things. But yeah, all those apples, the slaves were taking the seeds. They didn't, I don't know how much they knew about grafting, but really all you need is a pocket knife to do some grafting. But they were trying to supplement anything they could in any way that they could. And apples were one of the ways they go about them. So that's part of the reason, the historical reasons I love apples, but also there's a whole lot of history here that regarding apples that you're not going to hear about in the mainstream history books. So yeah, Lee Calhoun, Old Southern Apples. I think that thing's out of print, actually. To buy that book, when I bought it, I remember last time I bought that book, I think we sent it to Dandy and Wanda down at Deep South. I think that thing cost $300. So it's a hard book to come by. So, but you can get PDFs of it. But I'm nostalgic that way. I want something I can turn the pages on.
Steve Hall says the war of northern aggression has always pissed me off. It's horribly misrepresented. Steve's saying it like he's still mad they lost.
Hey, it was funny because it's funny because you can hear this one. And personally, I agree with him. It was that, and everything you think you know about the Civil War, folks, is largely a manufactured lie, and I can prove it. That's why I love occulted history. There was one of the big geniuses that came out of the South. I mean, there was a number of them, but one of them was Forrest. Oh shoot, I can't think of his name. Nathan Bedford Forrest. The guy funded basically his own army. He was wealthy, and he funded his own army. He was working for the South, obviously, but he had a cavalry that, from that time until modern day, man, there's never been anything like it. This guy had, I don't even know how many horses shot out from under him. I want to say like 10 or 12. Dang. And the guy was really like John Rambo in life. So when you hear the stories about Nathan Bedford Forrest, but anyway, his response, it was years later, and the historian, man, his name escapes me right now, but there was a historian talking to his granddaughter, and she says to him, you know, the historian says to his Nathan Bedford Forrest granddaughter, I want to say it was back in the 80s, I think it was Shelby Foote, actually, who said to her, you know, two of the big heroes or geniuses I think that came out of this war was Abraham Lincoln and your grandfather. He said there was a pause on the other end of the phone. Like, he's like, are you there? He thought she hung up. And then after a minute, she says, you know what? My family and I never really cared much for President or Mr. Lincoln. She didn't even call him president. She said, we never cared much for Mr. Lincoln. And so, yeah, I don't like losing either, Steve, especially when we're told everything we're told about is a complete lie from the start to the finish. Every bit of it is a lie. Folks, if you doubt me, if you want to know how wrong your history books are, just go to the Lincoln Memorial. Just go there in Washington. Look at Lincoln's own words, and he's not the guy that you've been told he was in history. Man, am I going to go sideways on this show? Am I threatening to go sideways once again? Let me go ahead and get us back on track here in a second. All right, Sovereign Health Summit. Yeah, it's going to be next October, folks. If you want tickets, if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to have any involvement in it whatsoever, go ahead and check us out at the website. Should be listed down below. Mountain Readiness. It's coming up October 17th through the 19th. I'm going to be there, but I'm not going to be teaching. I'm going to be hanging out as a student. That's exactly where I'm going to be. So it's the best festival you don't know about. And you're going to have access to a whole lot of tactical people out there. And it's not just a guy show, folks. Women go there and they have the time of their lives. Oh, Healing for the Ages. That's coming up here in a couple of weeks. Perma 30 will get you 30% off. William and I are going to be there, and I'm looking to see, hope I see some of you there as well. And they also have an online version as well. One of the other sponsors out there, folks, and this is another sponsor that I can't publicly talk about, Richardson Nutrition Center. We got a link for it down below. You want to know who John Richardson was and who his dad was, actually. He's John Richardson Jr. You want to know who his dad was and how he was able to cure the big C with a substance, with a natural substance I can't even talk about on this show. Anyway, I've had him on here and not on YouTube, but anyway, you want to check it out. If you know anybody dealing with that or might be, you want to check out the work over there. Perma will get you 10% off. And then finally, Wave Watch. Billy 100 will get you $100 off that watch. And folks, I absolutely love it. All right, I'm going to skip over the good news and we're going to go straight to my man, Eric.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip, zero accountability. There's a lot of phony outrage out there in the world, but we should all be properly pissed off by what is going on in the world. There is zero accountability for those in power. This is nothing new, of course, but since they can't control the narrative anymore, they don't even bother with a good story. Who is going to challenge them anyway? As individuals, we have no power. As a community, we can change the world. They know this. Why do you think they work so hard to keep us divided over bullshit? And we are so easy to manipulate. The justice system is a joke. This judge says one thing, and then another judge just reverses it. Or it languishes in courts until people forget or go broke. The system isn't broken. It is functioning exactly as it is designed to. This is why the only solution is to create a new system. But we can't do that as individuals. We are all imperfect allies. This is why I always start with local food. Everyone can get together over food. And local food means we don't starve. Now that's a foundation to build true resiliency on. And even that only works if we do it en masse. One group that becomes too successful living outside the system just gets blown up and labeled terrorists. Gaza is just a dress rehearsal. If you think they aren't coming for you next, you're not paying attention. It's not about race, religion, or nationality. It's a small group of psychopathic elites against everyone else. We are all Palestinians now. I will be teaching a one-day earthworks class focusing on drought and fire resilience. So anyone in the Sacramento area, this will be a great opportunity to go over the basics of permaculture design, mapping, surveying, and we will be out on the land surveying, digging, and planting up a swale. For more information and to sign up, head over to permaculturefairoaks.org. That's
my dog. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things you think are just limited overseas, folks. Get your hat. You know, William, your mom said something to me before we went live, and she was like, boy, it sure is funny that every single country, kind of like the whole COVID thing, every country was on lockstep except for several countries. And of course, all their leaders were assassinated. They were all murdered, everybody who didn't go along with it. And then here it is all over again. Everybody seems to be in lockstep with the CBDC. They want you to go ahead and do this digital whatever because they know that's why they're blowing up the dollar right now, folks, because they're about to usher in something else. So just, you know, the tagline of this show, man, stay alert, stay aligned. Pastor Lon in the house. Yeah, what's up? Steve Hall, man, I cracked up, about busted out laughing when he said he actually wanted to name one of his sons Nathan Bedford Forrest. He was truly incredible, folks. I mean, this guy was a flipping Superman. If you don't, Nathan Bedford Forrest, I got a list of like, I don't know, 10 people. If you ever said, hey, man, you could interview these people from history, believe it or not, Robert E. Lee is on that list. He's in my top 5. I kid you not. Because everything you've been told about the Civil War and everything about it is a complete lie. But honestly, Bedford Forrest is one of those people that I would love to talk to from history. My grandpapa would be one, and there's a few others on there. But anyway, yeah, he would definitely make the list. Honestly, people would think that would be a little bit strange because he's also been demonized throughout history because, you know, he started the KKK, but it didn't start off the way that it became.
Yeah.
It started out as like a fraternal organization, and even Bedford Forrest said, all right, boys, I'm out. I mean, it got to a point where he's like, I'm going to just kind of do my own thing. It was meant to be like a fraternal organization of just gentlemen or whatever. And then that thing just got away from him. So,
Got away from
boy, it got away in a big way, man. Next thing you know, they're burning crosses and all kinds of stuff. He's like, boys, I ain't with this. This is a guy that actually told when he was recruiting for his cavalry, he'd go out there, hey, if y'all want a heap of fun. Yeah, I know I remember weird quotes, folks, but if I remember right, somebody'd have to pull it up, but it was somewhere along the lines of, hey, boys, if you want to have a heap of fun and kill Yankees, follow me. That was exactly how he rolled. The guy would get out of so many tight spots where they knew they had him, and he would somehow slip through every single time. Yeah, he was really a Superman in so many different ways. And the guy, he funded his own army for the most part. Anyway, real interesting history there. Folks, you're never going to learn that in a history book. EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Yeah, remember your number one threat is lightning out there, and given the state of the way they're doing things, well, you got to be ready for it. That's why EMP Shield will get you squared away, because not only would it handle EMP, if anything gets past it downstream, they're going to cover you for 25 G's. Perma will get you $50 off. Okay. We don't have a whole lot of time here, but I do want to cover this to a certain extent. And honestly, I didn't know it was going to bleed into what Eric was talking about, and ditto on that. I'm not for genocide. I don't care who's doing it. I guess I'm not going to go too deep. I've covered it before, but the people over there calling themselves Israel, look, for the most part, don't have any Abrahamic blood at all. If you doubt me, folks, these are Ashkenazis, okay? The people in Palestine have more Abrahamic blood. Not that should even matter at this point, but I don't care what the consequences are, I will never endorse genocide no matter who's doing it. And this is unadulterated genocide like nothing we've ever seen before. And everybody, at least boomers for the most part, seem to be, rah, let's go. No. That when I told you everything about the Civil War was a lie, well, everything you were told about that country that came about in 1948, that's a lie too. And anybody ever wants to have a debate on that, I'm your man. Anytime, day or night, you want to come on this program, I'll mop the floor with you, because the history books are on my side. And so yeah, ditto to Eric for that too. I'm not going to be a coward and say, to do what everybody else says, well, I got to worry about my channel. Well, I was looking for a job when I found this one. And I'm never going to stand by and be okay with what I see happening over there. And like I said, these people are not who you think they are. You've been lied to about that. Everything is a manufactured lie. Son, do you have anything to say about any of that?
No, I'm in full agreement. And the only people that I see actually questioning, like, why are we so tight with Israel, are people that are either slightly younger than me or slightly older than me, but that's generally my demographic, or my age group. That's who I see questioning it. The people that I see just blindly in support of Israel and whatever they do are the church-going, like, boomers. That's really it. Like, but the thing that kills me is that they act as if, like, Israel can't be any way.
You cut out.
We have the whole old.
You have to say that.
Yeah,
you cut out.
The only people that I see, like, are the boomers that are church going and stuff like that. The ones that I see that are full support of Israel act as if, like, Israel can't be chastised in any kind of way, as if, like, we don't have the whole Old Testament showing us, like, Israel screwing up and then Israel being corrected and then Israel screwing up and then Israel being corrected over and over again. We have the whole Old Testament talking about exactly that. And then also the Abrahamic blood, either nobody has any Abrahamic blood or everybody has Abrahamic blood, depending on the legitimacy of the 70 AD diaspora. Like, if they believe exactly what they said, then everybody had at least a touch of Abrahamic blood at this point. From now until back then, you have like 18 quintillion ancestors or something. It's like impossible to not have some extent of Abrahamic blood. I could run with this for the rest of the night, Dad. It's a very frustrating topic when people can't clearly see genocide, just like COVID, just like Yeah, just like during COVID, I can easily see how genocide is pushed throughout the society. I can
Well,
easily see how people get online with it.
Well, and what Shelley says Jesus would not approve. No. And then Steve, I'm right there with you. I mean, look, I don't care who you say you are. I will never endorse just full wholesale slaughter. And by the way, as a former Army sapper, I can tell you and every other person, I couldn't believe how many people when the whole October 7th thing came out. I guess, look, we ain't getting into the main topic tonight. We're going to have to rename this show. We're
Hold on, real quick. Even if you're not in Sacramento, you should go to Eric's Earthworks class. You should, even if you're on the East Coast, go to that class. There, we covered the topic. Eric got the rest.
Yeah, Eric pretty much covered it. Okay, so technically we did cover the topic, but hey, to that point, because I don't know that we've said a whole lot as of late. Look, a lot of this stuff regarding that comes out of the Schofield Reference Bible. Folks, if you do a little deep examination on C.I. or Cyrus Schofield, the guy who came up with that, and there's been a really, really awesome book recently written on it, and I've got to get that book from Pastor Chuck Baldwin. If you read where that Schofield Bible came from and what he did, and Schofield himself, the guy was a flipping scoundrel. Up one side and abandoned his family and did all kinds of awful things. He was a profligate liar and a thief. And somehow he just comes out of nowhere, comes up with this Bible. And then, folks, you want to find out who funded him? Anyway, I'll bust out all that in the future. But the point of it being, I don't care what the consequences are. I don't care what the whatever may be. I don't care. I am not for this. And I am just blown away that I'm hearing pastors who ought to be saying peace, 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 peace. And by and large, I'm seeing these Schofield evangelical pastors saying, kill them all. Are you kidding me? Let me go back to what I just said. If you're a person with my background in the military or anybody like it, you already know from the very beginning to tell me that in a country the size of Rhode Island, that quick reaction forces don't show up for 8 hours when something goes down, you know that it is a false flag. You have people out there like, a number of others that prove that 80% of the so-called footage that happened on that day was absolutely deep fakes. They weren't even real, most of the footage that day. And you're going to and you're actually stupid enough to believe, I guess, you know what, they're able to convince people that a 30-06 will go into a man's neck. And I told y'all from day one, that was the biggest. Look, if you spilled enough blood, a 30-06 would have cut him in half. I mean, it would have separated his head probably from his body. Not trying to be graphic here, but folks, if you can believe that and believe that he was the man of steel and it just lodged in his spine, okay. I guess you're the same person that's believing that they came over on hang gliders, the number 3 most fortified place on the planet. They came over on hang gliders, hit the ground running, decided, okay, we're going to take captors. And at the same time, we're going to rape women on the spot. And we're going to do this for 8 hours with no fear of reprisal. That's the official story they told you. If you know what I know about the military, you know that that is a colossal, there is no way on earth that is legit. So if that's a lie, everything else that has happened is a lie. If they lied to me and I can prove it about what happened in October, then this whole thing is an absolute, I don't know. Today, it seems people are content to believe manufactured lies, son. I mean, I look over here and I'm looking at this Schofield Reference Bible. When I look in the C.I. Schofield, I'm like, hold on. None of his contemporaries were buying this. He was denounced, detracted up one side and down the other. And you find out that the very same people that funded him, he was part of the Lotus Club in New York. Folks, look into all that stuff and how he got admission into that club. And that's where all this stuff comes from. So not really caring who I disappoint in all this, but Eric opened up a can of worms there that I'm not going to fall away from. And honestly, has anybody ever, what about all you Christians out there? Do you not care about those Christians in Palestine? Because they're Christians. 30% of them, as I understand it.
I thought it was 40.
Okay, maybe.
Either way.
Either way. You're seeing the guts of kids. I mean, doctors are over there doing, and man, it is just heartbreaking, where one day they're making sport out of it, where every child that they bring into the operating room is shot in the head. Next day, they're all shot in the testicles. Next day, they're shot in the arms. And of course, when you have even a full metal jacketed bullet hit an arm of a child, it's going to remove it. Okay. And you're telling me this is, they are clearly doing it for sport. And one day they're shot in the left foot. The other day, this is happening. And this is happening and we are endorsing this. I don't endorse it, and I won't have anything to do with it. But, your illustrious leader out there, you know what? He's getting us out of all these wars. Hold on to your hat. Just like, and I'll make the prediction right now. What happened when Woodrow Wilson got into office in the second term? He kept us out of war. That's what we were told. That was his campaign slogan, actually. He kept us out of war. Wasn't long after we were in World War I. And we got in there on false pretenses. Supposedly, we got into it based on the sinking of the Lusitania. That's the official story, but there's actually more to it. And then we find out 99 years later, almost to the day, that the Lusitania was actual combatant vessel. But we go to World War I, and a whole lot of people get murdered just because one guy, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, got killed. To this day, it makes no sense. Anyway, you're seeing the same things unfold right now, folks. Look, this isn't where I wanted to go with this show, but hey, we're here, and I'm just going to run with it. And the bottom line is, you can go ahead and believe these pathological liars in the pulpits, because most of them are hirelings. I ain't going to say most because I don't have proof of that, but I'm going to say a lot of them are hirelings. They're just regurgitating, or some of them, I'm not even going to respect them by saying their names right now. But when you hear pastors over and over saying, kill them all, you need to repent. You need to seriously repent. So, yeah, I'm gonna do a whole lot of. Son, is there anything else you want to add to this?
Not without starting the second hour of this podcast. It's I can't. I'm having to limit who I'm around because of this topic, because inevitably it's going to come up in conversation. Just whenever there's a lull in conversation, it's going to come up, and this isn't a topic that I don't care who I'm around. I'm not going to censor myself on this topic, because being quiet on this topic, or just allowing these people to speak in your presence, if you're quiet about it, then that automatically, shows to everybody else that you're in agreement with it. And I got to limit who I'm around, especially when it comes to this topic. Because think of it this way. Okay. Think of a baby, and you leave them in a room. They go to night for the day or whatever, and then they wake up and nobody's there. They start crying. They start losing it because nobody's there. They're scared. They're terrified. That is one of the best cases scenarios going on in Gaza right now, is that a kid is just left in a room crying, scared because nobody's around. And it's just, yeah, thinking about stuff like that is just hard to, understand that people are in support of that. That's the best case scenario, is that a child is scared right now.
Yeah. As sad as that is. And it just breaks my heart. There are times I have to just absolutely acquiesce, but at the same time, as I always say, you're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved, and you're not going to do this in my name, and you're not going to take my family. William will be the one he's a grown man. He'll make up his mind for himself, but I think I speak for both of us that, look, y'all go ahead and fight whoever you want. If anything, I am encouraging people to do zero military service, because I think we're in for another Woodrow Wilson 2.0 with what's going on right now. And when you got Trump and all these others talking about, we're going to turn Gaza into this and that, what? Do you think maybe the people that have that land ought to have a say on the matter? And like I said, these Ashkenazis you ever wonder why it's illegal to do a DNA test in Israel? You ever wonder that? You ever wonder why? If we want to get on this topic, like I said, anytime somebody wants to debate me on this, bring it. Bring it. I will embarrass you. Because once you know the full, and I can't get into all of it right here in this platform, but honestly, once you know the full extent of everything, you've been lied to about everything else, and you've been lied to about these people calling themselves Israel. They have no Abrahamic blood to begin with. And in fact, Vespasian started in 70 AD, made sure that was never going to happen. You should read the commentaries from people like Philo and Josephus. You should read. It is the most destructive. It is the most destructive. I mean, a year later, they were like, man, you would never know there was ever a city here. That's the kind of destruction that happened. They couldn't keep their own bloodlines together before, which is why you had the Northern Kingdom and everything else. And that was in a very short time. You're telling me from that time until now, oh, they got it all worked out? No, not buying it. And in fact, there's been a number of studies. Before he passed on, Tex Mars had talked about it, and these were from Israeli sources talking about, folks, we kind of got it all wrong here. We did all the DNA testing. We have absolutely no Abrahamic blood at all. And then the ones that are there is the homosexual capital of the planet, number one. Okay, sounds real holy to me. And number two, I mean, well, son, I know we went off the rails a little bit, man, and I know it's getting late, folks. If anything, we got more people tuning in. So that's really not why we're doing it. I mean, I just went sideways here because I'm telling you, folks, just like we were talking about Nathan Bedford Forrest, everything you were told about the Civil War is a manufactured lie. I can prove it. Everything you were told about World War I is a lie. I can prove it. Everything you were told about World War II was a lie. Everything you were told about Korea, Vietnam, all the Middle East wars, every single bit of it has been a manufactured lie up one side and down the other. But go ahead but don't question, because I used to be one of those people. Folks, I'm not even going to lie. I was one of those people that was brought up to believe Israel can do no wrong, blah, 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 blah. And then, whoa, I go to do a little bit of research of my own, and I come to find out everything. The pastor's in here just, spurting out things that he was told. He doesn't know what I know. And I'm telling y'all, this is the biggest scam out there. These people are not. Where's the Holocaust Museum for all the Native Americans that were killed on this? I actually asked that question at a Holocaust museum, and boy, I got shown the door. I was like, where's the Indian section up in here? What are you talking about? This is a Holocaust. What? Well, there was a Holocaust right here in the United States. Where's their section? Where's the section for all these other people? I mean, good night, folks. I mean, when they got to oversell it like they do, and you're not allowed to make any claims, folks, if you really want to know what I think about World War II, I'm probably going to have to do that in a private video. Things that I can prove. Everything you were told about Auschwitz, everything you were told about, I'll put it this way. If you had supposedly 6 million killed in World War II, why in the biographies of Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill, not a single mention of 6 million of anybody dying, except for the Russians? There was no mention of a Holocaust by any of those guys. And then if you look at and you trace it all back, I'm not saying a lot of people didn't die, but I guess what about the 20 million Russians? What, they don't get a museum?
Or the gypsies.
Yeah, what about the 20 million Russians in Operation Barbarossa that Hitler killed? And actually, he was killing them more before then, 20 million, and that's a conservative number. What about the 8 million that Stalin killed in Ukraine by starvation? Folks, you want to hear some harrowing story during the Holodomor. How about those? Pol Pot killed a third of his population. Where's their Holocaust museum? I mean, Mao killed more than all of them combined. Where's their museum? But no, we only focus on these ones. And folks, I know I'm touching that third rail. I don't even care. I don't even care. Folks, you are perilously close to losing your country right now. And I can't even get people to take a second look up in the sky and say, gee, look at all that junk they're spraying up there. So if anybody wants to know chapter and verse on this stuff, I don't know, maybe I'd have to do a little something on Patreon or whatever, but I don't care who unsubscribes. I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care. I am so far beyond caring. as to whether or not I'm going to speak the truth. Just like the late great Jim Garrison said, let justice be done, though the heavens fall. And that's exactly how I feel about it. So, folks, I'm gonna be probably offending a lot more people down the line. And if I'm offending you because the truth hurts, then you deserve to be offended. I will not apologize for telling you the truth. Now, in a lot of cases, like my grandma used to say, be mindful where you impart your wisdom, because the wise don't need it and the fools don't heed it. So if you stuck around this long, definitely you're in the former category. So yeah, maybe if people demonstrate some interest in learning a little bit more about this, I'm not a one-trick pony, and I'm something of a historian when it comes to a lot of these matters, at least things that mattered. I'm a autodidact historian when it comes to this stuff, meaning that I will study the things that move the needle in a big way. There's a whole lot of other people out there whose books and information I could send you to. And this is, believe it or not, it's not that difficult to find. It's just all of us, myself included, have been indoctrinated, whether through the Schofield Reference Bible or whether it was through, so-called education in high school and college. I didn't get an education until I decided I'm going to start educating myself. And so, yeah, I'm going to tell the truth. And if anybody doesn't like it, that's on you. That's on you. But I would at least encourage you to offer a rebuttal. If I'm wrong, you tell me where I'm wrong, and I will correct myself. There's a number of people in this chat right now. Every time I've stepped out of order and I got it wrong, I did apologize. And I have no foolish pride when it comes to setting the record straight. If I'm wrong about something, I'm not going to wait a year. I will tell you immediately the second I know that I'm wrong. But historically, I'll put my brain pan up against anybody's. So it's not to brag, y'all, just saying, look, I've done my research. All right, son, anything else? What do you got?
I think you should start a history channel. Talk about, if history was taught in schools kind of like the way you teach history, or the way like Fat Electrician teaches history, he's a YouTube channel, then way more kids the retention would go way up because it's entertaining. Way more kids would be interested in history because they're given like a sense of, you guys are given like a sense of like emotion and perspective on some of these events that aren't portrayed in like history books. Like history books will tell you the event, but like you guys actually go into what it may have been like at the event, or just some of the thought processes and stuff. But I think you should start either dedicate every couple of episodes to like a history lesson, or start a history channel, whatever it may be. People, every time you bring up history, people go on about how they want you to talk about more about history and everything. So,
well, everything we're told is a lie agreed upon. I mean, if people knew the full extent of what happened, I mean, like the first case of slavery that was litigated in the United States was a black man in ownership of another black man. But nobody tells you about that. I want to say it was in Massachusetts, and give me enough time, I'll remember the name of the case. But it was litigation over one black dude wanting ownership over another one. And nobody ever talks about that. But no, it was always the white man that did. No, it wasn't. You know what? There would still be 13 colonies if the Indians stuck together. And honestly, it was other black tribes in Africa that were selling off. They would capture rival tribes. Nobody ever talks about this stuff. This stuff never makes the history books. To a certain extent, it did in, a pop culture show like Roots, to a certain extent. But nobody ever talks about that kind of stuff. Maybe I should. I just have way too many irons in the fire right now. I want to get through this event, get a whole lot of people cured, and, with Barbara O'Neill next year. That's my number one focus right now. And if I can weave the history into a lot of what's going on here, folks, ditch your TV. The History Channel, there was a time where I used to love, when I was a kid, man, and the History Channel came out. I remember it was on cable, and I remember we were like one of the last ones to get it. Only thing I wanted to watch was the History Channel. I mean, son, I ate it up, and I would watch and back then they actually had shows about history. They were all wrong, but it still was, for me, it was captivating to know that this stuff actually happened. Then I find out. And then, boy, you talk about a crisis moment when I find out that all this stuff I was told on there was actually wrong, especially as it pertains to the Civil War, and the people I thought were heroes were not. and the people that were heroes, not like Nathan Bedford Forrest. I mean, say what you want. I don't care where you come down on that. This dude was an absolute hero in the eyes of so many. Definitely a swashbuckling character, if ever there was one. And honestly, he was a rich man who put his money where his mouth was. You got to remember, just like Steve said a minute ago, it was viewed by the people in the South as a war of northern aggression. Take probably the greatest general of that time. It's probably argued because he ended up dying during it, but Stonewall Jackson. You take Stonewall Jackson, man. Call the what?
You could call David Zimmerman said you could call the channel the Pimpsonian.
I like it, man. That would be something. That would be something, man. What was I just saying a minute ago?
I'm sorry, Dad.
I don't even know. Dang, it was a cool story too, man. It was a cool story, but anyway, but folks, I mean, just as a little note as well, you know, when you get an opportunity, take your kids to see some of these landmarks. You know, take them to some of these Civil War battlefields. Go to Antietam. You know, if you're going up to Homestead, in fact, if you're going up to Homesteaders of America next week, stop by Antietam. Bloodiest battle in the Civil War. It's just down the road. Okay.
Aren't you going?
Yes, son. I wasn't going to make it a public service announcement, but
sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
You ain't teaching though.
No, they would not. They would not have. I will not go to any festival that would have me. So that's a Mark Twain quote. I would not belong to any club that would have me. So, yeah. Anyway, if you're up there, Homesteaders of America, Antietam's right around the corner. Stop by there. Go look at this ground where people bled and died. And like I said, it was the bloodiest battle. Well, not necessarily the blood. A whole lot of people died in a very short time. And then when you stand over there, and it's always a dreadful thing when William or Michelle has to go to a museum with me because, folks, I read everything in that museum. We ain't leaving until I read everything they got, and then I can compare it, and I can go out there and walk these battlefields and stuff like that, but get a sense of perspective. I mean, there were in some battles like Antietam, you know, we had as many people die in that battle that were killed in the whole Vietnam War. I mean, you had 58,000 people that died in Vietnam. That many people would fall within just a few hours in some of these battlefields. So when you take it up, when you look at this stuff, folks, we're sitting on the precipice and being engineered into another, possibly a civil war, possibly something else. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, we're going to walk blindfolded into it if we don't realize that there are puppeteers out there pulling the strings to make these things so. So look, y'all, I know I went a little sideways and things went a little bit crazy. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the historical construct here. Maybe I can weave a little bit more into the show. I don't know. But as far as doing a whole nother channel where we talk about the Pimpsonian or, you know, some off the beaten path, it's, yeah, it's definitely a passion of mine. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And just remember, we got that festival that's going to be coming up next year. Folks, the prices are as low as we could possibly make them. In fact, that last event where I was speaking on the same stage as Barbara O'Neill, I think they wanted like $600 a head, and they filled the place up. But there was also a lot of people reaching out saying, man, who's got that kind of money? And look, I can relate, man. Who's got that kind of money? So, yeah, we lowered the price considerably, and it's as low as we can make it. And, you know, be able to pay the bills on this thing. So folks, we're hoping to see all of you there. Like I said, check us out on the website. I want to thank everybody out there in the chat. I want to thank everybody for your kind words. I'm sorry when I'm doing a program like this, I can't always get to all the comments, but it is a joy that y'all are out there. Till next time, y'all. Thank you so much. Stay alert.
Stay alive.
Knowledge rings with roots that run deep. Wisdom from Saul and across the stream. Let the ideas untold. I'm grooving with the truth. Feeling nature's good. Who's got the answers? All we need to do. Listen to the earth, they got us through. Let's see the change. Watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to harmony begin in the cycle of life. For the magic's alive.